Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with some unfortunate news to report. Jarrett, one of the most influential and highly regarded promoters and bookers of all time, passed away yesterday morning at the age of 80 after a battle with esophageal cancer, as was first reported by Memphis wrestling historian Mark James. Jarrett was the co-owner and operator of the famed Memphis wrestling territory that ran from the late 70s through the mid-1990s, and when it finally closed up in 1997, was the last remaining wrestling territory predating the WWF's national expansion. Not long after, he made another important mark on the changing wrestling business by co-founding TNA Wrestling with his son Jeff in 2002. Alongside longtime business partner and top star Jerry the King Lawler, for nearly 20 years, Jarrett ran the Memphis territory known over the years first as the Continental Wrestling Association and later the United States Wrestling Association, creating one of the most thriving and healthy promotions in the business at the time, featuring weekly Monday night shows at the Mid-South Coliseum and Saturday morning TV on WMC Channel 5, attended and viewed by an intensely loyal fan base. Living by the professional credo of personal issues draw money, Jarrett created a successful formula of hot, outrageous, and often very violent angles and matches that even managed to stave off the encroaching invasion of the WWF for years, until finally working out a talent exchange program with the company in 1992, which helped bring Lawler to WWF television and helped to shine a light on Jerry's son Jeff, who would go on to have multiple intercontinental title reigns with the company. Jarrett's ties to the business stretched all the way back to his childhood in the 1940s, when his mother, Christine "Teeny" Jarrett, worked in the office of Tennessee promoters Nick Gulas and Roy Welch. Jerry eventually came to work for Gulas as well. He started wrestling in the mid-1960s and later began promoting cards for Gulas in Memphis until 1977, when he and Lawler broke away to found their own company, using Memphis as their home base. Jarrett's internal knowledge of the wrestling business was tapped early on by Welch, who Jarrett would ride with from town to town. Impressed, Welch would go on to make Jarrett a promoter, running Memphis among other cities, which ultimately led to Jarrett helping to book Atlanta during the 1973 wrestling war between the National Wrestling Alliance and Ann Gunkel's All-South promotion. One of Jarrett's most notable efforts at the time was the creation of Mr. Wrestling 2, who became one of the country's most popular wrestlers when WTCG-TV was uploaded to satellite in December of 1976. That's the channel that would later become WTBS, the Superstation. After a promotional war, by 1981, Gulas was out of the business, and Jarrett's Memphis Wrestling was one of the hottest promotions around. Jarrett continued to wrestle into the 1980s, but eventually phased out his in-ring career completely to focus solely on promoting and booking. Jarrett sold out his interest in the USWA to Lawler in 1995, and 7 years later founded TNA Wrestling with his son Jeff, who was looking to start up a new wrestling company to compete with the WWF after Vince McMahon purchased the assets of the defunct WCW. By the end of 2002, the Jarretts had sold controlling interest of TNA to Panda Energy, but remained with the company in management positions. Jerry departed TNA in 2005 following differences regarding the direction of the company, and Jerry and Jeff remained estranged for a decade before reconciling in 2015. Jarrett was a member of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame and the National Wrestling Alliance Hall of Fame, and just last September was honored alongside other legends of Memphis wrestling at the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion in Las Vegas. Official statements acknowledging Jarrett's passing were released yesterday by WWE, AEW, and the company he co-founded, Impact Wrestling. Said Impact EVP Scott D'Amore, quote, "Personally, Jerry was such a massive influence on my career and life. The lessons I learned from him I still use to guide me every day in and out of the pro wrestling business." End quote. Once again, Jarrett passes away at 80 years old. In ratings news, Monday night's episode of Raw live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York drew an average viewership of 1.812 million to USA Network, down nearly 3% from the previous week's 1.866 million, according to Showbuzz Daily. In the hourly breakdown for the show, which was the go-home episode leading into Elimination Chamber, the first hour drew 1.818 million viewers, while the second hour increased to 1.924 million, and then the final hour dropped to $1.695 million, representing a total loss of 123,000 viewers from beginning to end. In the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic, the rating was .47, representing 613,000 viewers, according to WrestleNomics. The rating was down nearly 15% from the previous week's key demo rating of .55. Despite the decrease in the key demo ratings, the episode still came in first place for the evening on cable TV in the key demo. NXT was broadcast live last night on the USA Network from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. NXT North American Champion Wes Lee retained against Von Wagner on the show, defeating Wagner in under 5 minutes.
I think he's thinking of it.
Oh, is he looking at us?
I think he's thinking about
Oh, we've seen this movie before.
Oh,
whoa. Super kick. Lee didn't want to see the sequel. And now it's Wes Lee, the North American champion, who issued this open challenge, starting to chop down, cut down the bigger, the larger, the stronger Von Wagner.
I look at this kid Wesley, and he's chasing something bigger than you and I can understand. He's chasing greatness, Vic, and he's so close.
Cardiac kick connects for the Cardiac Kid.
The win marked Lee's 6th successful defense of the title since winning it last October at NXT Halloween Havoc. In the main event, NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez and Meiko Satomura defeated former NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. In other results, Charlie Dempsey got a quick win over Hank Walker, Tiffany Stratton defeated Thea Hale, Axiom beat Damon Kemp, and Tyler Bate defeated Grayson Waller in the opening match.
That Tyler driver 97, Waller trying to fight. Waller able to roll through, handful of tights, able to kick out his Bate.
Yes.
Bate charging right back in. Able to land on his feet. Waller.
The balance.
A little bit of separation. Going up. Waller, nice counter.
He caught
the ropes.
Oh,
yes.
Referee had the awareness right there.
Bate.
Oh no.
Got him.
There it is. I called it.
In AEW news, former AEW Women's Champion Thunder Rosa confirmed yesterday on Twitter that she has officially joined AEW's Spanish-language TV commentary team while she continues to recover from injuries and work towards her return to the ring. Rosa had made her Spanish-language commentary debut on the February 8th episode of Dynamite, but it was not yet clear at the time if that was a one-time special appearance or more of a long-term position. Rosa has been out of action since August and vacated the women's title in September. In legal news, MLW's federal antitrust lawsuit against WWE was dropped on Monday by the U.S. District Court of the California Northern District in San Jose. According to reports from PW Insider and others, Judge Edward J. Davia did not find enough strong evidence to support MLW's claims that WWE was working towards undermining competition and monopolizing the pro wrestling market, and so opted not to proceed with the case. The lawsuit, filed in January of 2022, included allegations that WWE actively sought to keep MLW off Vice TV. Avila granted MLW 21 days to file an amended complaint which could potentially get the case restarted if the claims against WWE are deemed worthy of pursuit. In an official statement, MLW CEO Court Bauer declared, quote, "Our legal team is already at work on amending the complaint. We have every intention to continue pursuing our case against WWE," end quote. In National Wrestling Alliance news, Thomas Latimer became the new NWA television champion on yesterday's episode of NWA Power. In a match originally recorded last Sunday at WEDU Studios in Tampa, Florida, Latimer beat Jordan Clearwater via submission in 3 minutes and 30 seconds to claim the belt, ending Clearwater's reign at 92 days. After the match, Latimer celebrated in the ring with his wife, NWA World Women's Champ Camille.
One of the top 3, if not number 1, most talented wrestlers.
There it is! The power bomb! Cover now!
Crossface! In the crossface, the same move that he won the Singapore K-Max! He did it!
He won't let go! He won't let go! I love Latimer's aggression. I am here for it. Woo!
And here comes Camille! Here comes his wife Camille, also successful,
Latimer.
enough said.
Congratulations.
Also on the show, Tyra successfully defended the NWA World Heavyweight title against Rolando Freeman. It was Tyrus' second defense of the title in 2 days, coming after his win over Matt Cardona last Saturday night at NWA Nuff Said. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.